Hi there, and welcome to this FPLreview.com video guide on solver settings. So this is the second part. We've gone through the first 5 settings in video 1 in quite a bit of detail, and let's try and get through the remainder now. So the next setting is ITB value. This stands for in the bank value. So basically what this setting is doing is if you've got a plan and you've got 2 million left over in a future game week, it's saying that, when this time comes around, the possibility is probably going to be there to make an even better transfer. Or say, for example, if it's gone over, you've got a plan over a period of weeks and there's a few, you could say, transfers that haven't been explicitly made. So we're assuming the FT value is used for an assumed imaginary transfer. If you've got more money in the bank, the idea is that she'll be able to make an even better transfer. And it also encourages this bit of flexibility. So rather than having, maxing out your bank all the time, this encourages, hey, maybe it's a good idea to have some money left over in your plan. So this doesn't affect the live game week because that's, I guess, a certainty, whereas in future game weeks is more hypothetical, and this comes into play. So the next setting is info value, and basically this is all about should we roll or transfer for more information. And where this might be valuable, you might increase it is, say if we're in a period where there's upcoming uncertain fixtures, but we know in the next game week that information would be revealed, we may want to increase this. And again, this is very subjective. So definitely needs a bit of more abstract thought again. By default, this is set to 0.5, and it might even be useful for things like, if a key player is returning from injury or not, and we might be awaiting information on that. This doesn't affect rolling transfers in games beyond the live game week. I should note that as well. Subweight, this is basically a weight applied to auto subs. By default, this is set to 1, and I'd encourage users to leave it as that. If you're going to do anything, maybe it makes sense to set a lower value as per your own preference. I wouldn't suggest setting a higher value, but again, let's leave it at 1.0 unless you've good reason to change it. Risk position kind of phase a bit with ownership. So the ownership on the site is elite ownership following game week 1, once it's known. Before game week 1, it's the selection across all users. So there's a little indicator here of, if she has set this to 0, the solver is going to be insensitive to risk. In general, I kind of suggest using that. Now you can set it to 1. And we can see it's going to suggest slightly more safe moves based on ownership. Or if you set it to 0.1, it's going to, 0.1, it's going to create a riskier move. And you can set it to, I think it's between 0.5 and minus 0.5. And you'll get these very high risk or very safe moves. Now, I do kind of think it's better to set this at 0 and judge yourself if the move is going to be risky or not. Simply because ownership can change, and I think human intuition is actually quite good for this. The next setting is the max keeper value that you're willing to pay for. Straightforward. Basically, if you don't want to pay more than 5 million for a keeper, set at 5, and the solver will work around that. If you don't care, leave it at 7. So really based on personal preference and how you like to structure your team. And the last one is another straightforward one. The maximum number of keepers and defenders from the same team you're willing to buy. I think amongst many managers, there's a preference not to have more than 2, in which case set it that way. If you really want to diversify, set it to 1. Or if you don't care at all, and set it to 3. And again, here, I guess the notion of diversifying, what you really want to think about here is effective ownership. That's really what risk in FPL is built around. So yeah, hopefully that covers all the settings for you. And again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.